Have you ever felt that pull to chase a dream that seems bigger than your current life? In this video, I'm sharing my story of walking away from what I thought was my perfect path to pursue something even more fulfilling. It wasn't just about quitting a job. It was about taking a leap of faith and overcoming fear to follow my passion. If you're ready to take a risk and chase what truly excites you, this is the inspiration you've been waiting for. I went to the University of Illinois and majored in biology. My first year, I was a pre-vet student because I love animals and I thought I wanted to be a veterinarian. Well, I had a bad experience at a pig farm and realized I didn't want to do what it took to become a veterinarian. So I dropped the pre-vet focus, but I still desired a career in the biological sciences, whether that would be conducting research at a university or working at a pharmaceutical company as some examples. One day I went to a science and research career fair on campus, not knowing specifically where I wanted to work once I graduated, but I knew that I wanted a career in science to be able to support myself and to buy a house. I was intrigued by one agency that had a booth at the fair. I thought having a job with them would be awesome. It was a job working as an analyst in a laboratory, applying my love for the biological sciences. There were great benefits and earning potential. I applied for a position and opportunity knocked. Eventually, I was called to interview and I successfully completed all the steps of the hiring process and was offered the job of my dreams. I was set. I won the prize at the carnival. I worked as an analyst for 9 years, enjoying my career, and then I was promoted to a supervisor position and worked as a supervisor for an additional 15 years. Life was good. 22 years into my career, everything changed. I started feeling unfulfilled and unhappy. I was in a funk. My job became soul-sucking. I was super stressed all the time, feeling underappreciated. I started living for lunch breaks and the weekends, then feeling dread on Sunday nights. I started to not care. The work I did was impacting a lot of people, and that impact was always in the forefront of my mind when I did my job at first. It was like driving my willingness to be productive and excited and feel like I had purpose. But in recent years, being buried in the everyday work, I lost touch with my job and why it was important. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't connect to the purpose of my job and realize the value I was providing. I was feeling so disengaged. I was doing the quiet quitting thing where I was doing only what I was supposed to do and not willing to go above and beyond anymore. I knew there were a variety of reasons why I was feeling this way. A change in goals at the job led to expectations and productivity levels being higher than before, which led to me feeling burnout. There was increased pressure to meet these goals and deadlines, and I felt we did not have all of the resources to achieve what was required of us. I became fed up with the commute, driving over an hour each way and being stuck in traffic 5 days a week. And then a couple of years ago, I received my real estate license and started assisting people with buying, selling, and renting property. Becoming a real estate agent was only going to be a side hustle, and it was going to be part-time. My plan was for it to be another stream of income and give me the opportunity to participate in real estate related activities because I loved real estate. Once I started to close deals and help families, I started loving being an agent, and this created a conflict. Here I was working a job I loved and a job I no longer loved. And when you're doing that simultaneously, the feeling that you no longer love the job you no longer love becomes amplified. I started burning both ends of the candle. I would work my 9 to 5, come home and work my 5 to 9 and on weekends, which is real estate. I was trying to grow my business and pursue my passion, but that led to issues in the household and I wasn't as present as I should have been at home. And then I noticed a shift, like an awakening. I never thought entrepreneurship was something I wanted to do. As I said before, working as a real estate agent was only going to be a part-time side hustle. But a shift happened where I started to see possibilities and the opportunities in going full-time. I discovered skills and an interest that I didn't know would ever come out of me. I believe that God puts a dream in your heart and then does things to show you which way to go. He changes your mindset and lets you experience something big, new, and appealing and sends you in a completely different direction in life. The plan of working my W-2 job until I retire was replaced with wanting to go into entrepreneurship. Who would have thought? So throughout my career, I would log into my retirement account just to see where I stood in terms of getting closer to earning my pension, and just to see what my pension amount would be, and just to see all the benefits that the retirement plan provided. So I would just go on there just out of curiosity. But as I started to feel unfulfilled about my job, I found myself logging into my account way more often than normal. And so I was just watching the time get closer and closer to when I was eligible to claim my pension, which was 5 years away from this opportunity that I'm about to tell you about. So I knew that in 5 years I would be able to get my pension, a monthly payment for the rest of my life, and then it would go to my husband if I was to pass away. A certain percentage of that would go to my husband should I pass away. So I was just counting down the days, still feeling 5 years was a long way off, but here I was getting closer and closer to getting to that time when I could claim my pension and retire. But then I would click on all the tabs on my retirement account, looking at all the different pieces of information about how much my pension would be, what the benefits were, everything. And I promise you, up until 2 years ago, this one tab was not present on my account page. And I'm learning now, I've learned since then that this opportunity was available to us since 2018. But I promise you, the information was not on my website, on my account login, until maybe 2 years ago. And no one has ever mentioned it to me. I know of no one who has taken advantage of this opportunity. When the retirement people will come and give seminars, they never mentioned it. But I clicked on this tab. The tab was called the Total Buyout Program. And I said, well, what is this? Well, my agency was offering to give us a lump sum payment of our present value of our pension, 60% of that, in exchange for us giving up our pension and all the retirement benefits that's included with that pension. But you will also have to quit your job. And I said, they're offering to buy us out. And this is a benefit to the agency because it will lessen their pension liabilities, and the money for the lump sum payout was coming from a bond instead of the normal pot of money for the pension. So it was a great benefit for them as well. And so I said, should I take this buyout, quit my job, and not get that monthly pension? So I spoke to my husband. He said, take the money and run. We could flip it. We could make it grow. So I said, this is another sign from God that it's time for me to move on. This opportunity here that I promised was not there before, and no one has never mentioned it to me. Why this time when I'm exploring my account page that I see this tab? So I took that as another sign that it was time. When I did the estimate of how much my lump sum would be, how much the buyout would be, I almost fell out of my chair. Because I almost fell out of my chair because I can have the flexibility and control over my own money and pay myself every month that monthly payment and live off of. I could flip it and invest in myself and make it grow even larger than what it would have been if it stayed with the company. So I said, this is another sign. I think I should quit my job and go full steam ahead in my real estate business. I had many dilemmas. Fear! The feeling of fear came over me big time. Will I regret this decision? What if my business fails? What if I am unable to provide for my family? What if I blow the lump sum money and realize that monthly pension payments were best for me? I wanted to quit, but I kept asking myself, should I? This was a big decision. I asked myself, why not wait and work there the 5 remaining years and get the monthly pension? 5 years will fly by. There were people working there who appeared to be happy and could have retired a long time ago. Why didn't I feel like them? Was there something wrong with me? I was feeling ungrateful. I should have been feeling blessed, This was a job I prayed for, a job people would love to have, nice status, prestige, and a good job title, great pay and benefits, safe and secure. My paycheck was guaranteed twice a month, and a sweet pension. The golden handcuffs were on my wrists. The thought of leaving was scary. 24 years there. Did I work somewhere for 24 years only to realize it wasn't the thing I was supposed to do? This job was so good to me. I was able to meet great people, learn new skills. It afforded me the opportunity to buy my home and a rental property, put food on the table, take care of my family, everything. And there I was, wanting to quit. But I realized some things, and here are my responses to those thoughts and feelings. In regards to feeling ungrateful for wanting to quit, I had to recognize it was God's favor to have this job, but God wants us to have new favor, new victory. I realized that everything has a season, and after 24 years, the season had ended, and I needed to be sensitive to the new things God is doing in my life. God is always giving us new ideas, new perspectives, new opportunity, new talent. So I had to replace those feelings of being ungrateful with those reminders. And in regards to my feelings of fear, I reread the best-selling book, The 4-Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferriss. In this book, he states that it is fear of the unknown that stops us from trying new things, and therefore we choose to be unhappy than to be uncertain. He provides some questions to ask ourselves to help mitigate our fears. 3 questions that I like to highlight are: what are you missing out on by not doing the thing that's bringing the feeling of fear? What's the absolute worst case scenario? And finally, if the worst case scenario happened, how would you fix it? So here are my responses to these questions. If I stay for 5 more years to earn my pension, I'll continue to be unhappy and delay pursuing my passions and what makes my heart sing. The worst case scenario is that my business flops and I'll have to get a W-2 job. That's not the end of the world. My thoughts were, if not now, then when? I wanted to prioritize my happiness and decide, was this how I wanted my life to be? I can figure things out. I've never had a problem with coming up with ways to earn money. As long as I have a brain, I can come up with ways to earn a living, and I know that I can get the things this job gives me somewhere else. The universe helps those who help themselves, so I have to do the work and know the doors will open for me. In regards to choosing a lump sum pension over the monthly payments, I know that having control and flexibility over the lump sum payment is the better deal in my eyes. I will invest and flip that money. I have the discipline to not blow it, and I plan to use it for its original purpose, and that is for it to be a source of retirement income, not now income. Once I was convinced quitting was the right thing for me, a fire rose up in me and an excitement I never felt about the future came over me. Life is about taking risks, and if you take planned and calculated risk, I should be okay. So first, a plan. Having a plan was important to me before quitting. Bills still existed, some debts that I did not want to have needed to be paid off, health insurance was needed. I have responsibilities. I have children. I developed a time frame, or a deadline if you will, of 6 months for when I wanted to have the debts I didn't want to have paid off, and to save up some additional living expenses so that if I needed to, I could use that. I had to include my husband in my decision and have his feedback and support. I had to switch our health insurance over to his. I worked harder during the 6 months to build my real estate business while working my 9-to-5 job. I set a budget. All of this so that I could feel comfortable with quitting. I took a sizable pay cut, but my plan was for that to not be for long. I knew I'd have the buyout money, and I also had other investments and rental income. Once I had a plan, my conscience was clear, and I was able to embrace my decision with all of the risks that could come. So I let them know I was quitting. Everyone was so surprised, asking me questions about why and what is my plan. On my last day, I carried to my car the last box of things that I had in my office. I said goodbye to some people and walked out of the building for the last time. I cried and cried driving away, knowing that I wouldn't be back. 24 years of driving to that workplace. But then I wiped my tears away, went home, and went to work. Am I happier? Yes. more fulfilled and happy. My future plans are to continue to build my real estate business, work hard, hit the ground running. I have to prove to myself that I made the right decision. There is no turning back or a plan B. Now I have more time to work on my business. Doors have already started to open because I decided to bet on myself and take a leap of faith. I want this more than anything. So, my message to you: decide how you want your life to look. Set some standards, strive for more, follow your dreams, and do it afraid. I hope by sharing my journey, I would inspire you to take a risk and go for the things that makes you happy. Let me hear from you. Are you considering making a big change in your life? What's holding you back? Let me know in the comments.